Hi, I'm Dan Hurlish, lecturer for the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater College of Business and Economics. And this is Marketing 312, and we're going to talk about characteristics of a salesperson. Now, these are very general characteristics, and one of the things that we do in class is we do a Chally assessment. Chally is a company that assesses people as far as their characteristics, not personality, but characteristics, and their strengths, their interests, that kind of thing. And really helps you to find out where you would fit in what kind of a sales position, because there's so many different kinds of sales positions out there that require different types of skills. There's account representatives, there's hunters, there's farmers. There's a lot of different definitions. So we have a module on Chally assessment, or I should say some lessons on the Chally assessment, and it's worth looking at. And one of the things that the Sales Education Foundation does is it provides college students with, through our classes, the opportunity to take the Chally assessment. So if you haven't done the Chally assessment yet, we'll talk about that and we'll give you the opportunity to do it, because it's well worth it. And it's a $500 test that companies pay for before they hire people. And it tells you a lot of what your strengths and weaknesses are, and not just what kind of sales position you'd be best suited for, but what some of your strengths and weaknesses are. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and things that can help you to improve your career. And I strongly suggest that when people do this, that you concentrate on your strengths more than your weaknesses. I mean, yeah, we try to shore up our weaknesses a little bit, but you will always succeed and do much better if you expand your strengths and get really good at those strengths, okay? So anyway, that's my opinion. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So let's talk about some of the characteristics of salespeople, though, general characteristics. First of all, if you're a salesperson, in most cases, you have to be self-motivated. I haven't found too many lazy salespeople that were successful. You have to be self-motivated, because in most cases, somebody's not going to be looking over your shoulder, forcing you to do what you need to do. It's going to be up to you. You have to be dependable and trustworthy. I mentioned it before. People are not going to buy from somebody that doesn't follow up or doesn't answer their calls, that doesn't take care of them. They want to know you're dependable, and they want to know that they can trust you for what you say you're going to do. That also means you have to possess integrity. If people get a sniff of being dishonest, they're not going to want to work with you. I'll tell you a quick story. I was buying some surround sound system in a large screen TV at a very large store. It wasn't Best Buy, it was a different one, and they had commissioned salespeople. And the person, I tried to negotiate to get a really good deal, because they charge you for these cables, these monster cables and stuff, and they're pretty expensive. And I'll say, hey, come and try and throw it in, and couldn't get the guy to do it. And he says, well, here, tell you what, he takes the stuff out of the packages, puts it in a bag, and says, now when you go through security, here's what you tell them. And I hand it back. I said, put them back in the package, I'll pay for it. I bought a lot of things from that store later on, but I always avoided him, because you know what? If they'll do it for you, they'll do it to you. And I just did not trust him at that point. He lost all trust that I had. He was willing to screw over his employer to make a deal with me. And if you can't make a deal, you can't make a deal. That's fine. That's fine. I was just trying to do a little negotiating. You have to possess customer and product knowledge. You have to really understand your customer. A lot of companies really stress product knowledge, and you have to be knowledgeable for them to trust you, but you need to understand your customers, and that's a big part of needs ID, but it's also knowing the industries that you're in and being able to speak their language. And so that comes with time, it comes with training. You have to possess analytical, technical, and communication skills. We do a lot of training on the qualitative part of sales, but there's a big part that's analytical, it's quantitative, and you have to be able to justify what you're doing. People buy based on emotions and logic, but they justify it with logic, and the logic is usually the money, especially when it comes to business. Okay. You have to be flexible and agile. You have to be able to turn on a dime, and you really have to be able to change and accommodate your customers. You have to be creative. And one of the things I'm going to say about being creative, and I think this is very important, is you need to, I'm not super creative, but I'm a great thief. I imitate success. I work hard to imitate success. And when I say I'm a thief, I steal other people's ideas, and obviously they're willing to give them. because imitation is the best form of flattery. But I learned a long time ago to hang out with and listen to and talk to successful people. Don't hang out with the whiners and the complainers. Hang out with the successful people. If you do hang out with a whiner and complainer, observe them, the ones that aren't successful, and figure out what they're not doing and why they're not successful. Because really what you want to do is make sure you don't make those mistakes, but you want to really concentrate on the ones that are successful. So imitate success. Learn success. And then you do have to have some creativity that goes with it. You have to be confident and optimistic. People don't want to buy from Eeyore. Oh, bother. How's today? I guess it's okay. Maybe. You want to be positive. You don't want to be just bouncing off the walls crazy, but you want to be positive. You want to have a smile. Give a smile, you get a smile. You want people to look forward to you coming in because you're bringing knowledge, you're bringing things that'll help them, and you're a little ray of sunshine coming in the door. You want to be confident and optimistic, and confidence comes with that knowledge that you know what you're talking about, and also optimistic about what's going on. I remember calling on the city of Janesville during the Great Recession. They had a big GM plant that closed, and the GM plant really wasn't all that big at the point it closed. I think it was like 1,500 or 1,200 employees. It's a lot of people, but it pretty much shut down that community because there were thousands and thousands of ancillary companies that were providing services to that whole operation. And what it meant is the town basically was shut down. And you would go in there for a day, and I tell you, by the end of the day, I was emotionally drained because people were so down. And I would be able to go in and say, here's what I'm seeing happening. And when I'd see something, I wasn't trying to BS them, but I would see something positive and I'd bring some positive news. Or I heard this, or this is what I'm seeing so-and-so doing. Maybe you might want to try a little something like that if you can. And just bring in ideas and ways I could help them and try to get them through it. Acknowledge what they were going through. Be empathetic, but not be sympathetic. Sympathy, you just get a pity party. If you're empathetic, you help people. You also have to possess emotional intelligence. I don't know if you ever heard of EQ before, but EQ is IQ is intelligence, EQ is emotional intelligence, or they call it EL, what it really means is knowing and understanding your emotions and your feelings, keeping them in track, keeping them in control, and also understanding and recognizing your customers' emotions, empathizing again so that you understand it, and then using your emotions to interact effectively with them. So it's knowing and understanding what you're doing and how it affects other people. So I'll give you an example. Today, I got an email. I had made a very small little error, and it was a very small error. And I got an email from somebody chastising me for that minute error. And it really ticked me off. Now, that person doesn't get it when it comes to EQ. He has none. So I understand it. I typed a response and I sat on it for a couple hours, and then I just erased it because he wouldn't even get why I'm mad. So I just let it go. And that's a person that doesn't have emotional intelligence. They don't get it. And we all know people like that. They're oblivious to the rest of the world around them. If you're going to be effective in sales, you better understand emotional intelligence. So there's other parts of sales too. You have to find somebody. People that are in sales usually are, one of the reasons they're in sales, because it's not easier, is because they want to be compensated for what they do. Okay? If a lot of positions, you end up, you get the same 3% raise that everybody else gets, or maybe you get an extra percent because your review was better. And you see other people who aren't putting in the effort that you are. So one of the nice things about selling in most cases is you get reward for the effort and the time that you put in. Now, you still have to have some skills and you have to hone them and you have to develop them, but selling is not as much of an art as it is a science, and it's working hard and learning and putting in the effort. And if you do a good job, you can become financially independent, It gives you independence. With that independence, there's a responsibility to do the job and do things properly. I always looked at my job in sales. Nothing happens until there's a sale. So my job and the job of the people that work for me, I took this seriously and took it to heart, was to make sure that we turned on the lights and they were able to open the doors and these people kept their jobs. And during the Great Recession, I told our reps, make sure that it is never because of what we didn't do that people get laid off. We want to do everything we can, everything within our power, leave no stone unturned to make sure we're bringing it home the bacon, that we're bringing it in so these people can keep working. And we took that responsibility very, very seriously. So you're independent, you have responsibility goes with it, you have wonderful financial rewards. You have to be somewhat motivated by the fact that you will get rewarded. What you put in will come out, and you're going to have to put in more than the average person, okay, that the average person does. You're not going to be punching in and punching out for work. Also, quite often it leads to management and leadership opportunities as well, because you understand the customer really well. And I've had and I want to just point out this little illustration here where it's not just money. It's awards, it's recognition, it's part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-esteem, recognition by others. So those are important things. Having a target, having a goal, hitting that target, having an expense account, being able to travel, being able to go places, having trips and awards. Those are things that are rewarding, but then there's also the intrinsic reward of doing a job well and doing it, just for the sake of doing the job well and feeling good about what you do, helping other people. And because of what I was able to do and other people like me were able to do, the company I work for, there were companies that went through some major disasters. There were small towns that would have lost a major employer had we not been there to do what we do and do it well. And because of that, people kept their jobs. Families kept businesses when owners died, or there was catastrophes. And I can look back now and see the things that we did and feel really good about that. And that means a lot in a person's lifetime. So anyway, that's a little bit what you need to be when you're a salesperson. And wanted to give you an idea of what you'll look at. So if you're dealing with salespeople in the future or you become a salesperson, it gives you an idea of the kind of person that it takes to do something like this. Most people don't like doing it, or I should say most, but a lot of them can't or won't or don't want to, because it does require that extra effort. But and I'll end this way. There are no traffic jams on the extra mile in life. And if you go the extra mile, sales is definitely one place where it'll pay off. All right? Good luck. Thanks much.